Last thing that you write, which is the first thing most people want to write, is your introduction. Start with your call to action.
You
Right.
know it's always about your audience.
I've always just said yes. It has never failed me.
You've been communicating with confidence, and now you're teaching teams how to do that. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dental Handoff. I have with me one of my dear friends, Lisa Copeland. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So glad to be here, Kelly.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of cool things together. We both work for the same company, and we were educating all of the folks. And Lisa, now you have just taken off, and I'm so stinking proud of you. And it's so good to see
Oh,
you.
it is good. It's so nice to reconnect. We've both
Yeah,
gone into brand new directions since we worked together, and it's so fun to see each other grow
it
and
really
what's
is. It's just
possible.
it is, and I'm so excited for people to hear your story. I always start with, why dentistry, why dental hygiene? How did you get there?
Mm.
Did you choose it? Did it choose you? Tell us your story.
Oh my goodness. It's a bizarre story, actually. I started in special education, and I did a year, and I realized it was not the right career for me. I loved it. I still, even in dentistry, I always worked with special ed patients, but it just wasn't where I wanted to be for my whole career. So I took a year off. I went home. I moved back home, one of those stories. I ran into one of my classmates, and she was in her first year of dental hygiene, and she was telling me about it, and I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting." I always wanted to be in some type of healthcare, and I said, "Oh, that sounds pretty interesting." And I called her up and asked her a few more questions, and then I just signed up to go to school. Like, there was no, I never really thought about it too hard. I was like, "That sounds like a good career for me," and it was.
Okay. Okay.
But I
You went
never
feet first.
I did. Well, you know me. That is how I do things. I'm all
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, you
And
are.
it was
You're
a great
in.
choice. It was a
That's
great
awesome.
choice,
So
and
what did
it's oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I think there was a delay. So did you look back and say that's what I kind of thought it was going to be?
No. Mm-mm. No, I mean, I really liked it. As I was in school, I liked it. I was struggling, as you do in some classes, but when I got out, things just fell into my lap. Like, I started working for a periodontist, and that was amazing. And that was in, people know where I grew up. It was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, where they filmed The Office. And so that's
Yeah.
my claim to fame. I worked for a periodontist in Scranton. And
Cool.
it was hardest thing, best thing I ever did, because here's what we did. Like, back then, that was in the 80s. So we did scaling and root planing on the patients. And then almost every patient had to have surgery, right? The flap
Yeah.
surgery, because we didn't have advanced technology. And he would have us, the hygienist, whoever worked on that patient, he would have us assist in the surgery, and he would flap back the tissue. And it was like, holy moly, humbling. Like, everybody missed calculus. Like, you have no idea how much you're missing until you have an
Yeah.
experience like that. But the beautiful thing was, I learned, like, root anatomy and my spots where I miss all the time. The distal of 14. I probably still miss it if I was clinically practicing.
The distal
But
of
it was
14.
very, very humbling.
Did you
And
use
then
the
from
Titan
there,
scaler? Did you use the Titan
yep,
scaler?
yep, yep.
Yeah, I did too when I worked for my periodontist. Did the exact same thing, Lisa. That was so it was so helpful. I wish we
Gosh.
could kinda all have that experience.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen now because of technology, but it was humbling and really, really great learning. Just, a different perspective than what
Mhm.
people get now, because nobody's gonna have that opportunity again. And
Yeah.
really, does a periodontist want a hygienist assisting him? Well, we were never taught
True.
how to assist.
True. The high-speed suction. No, not our friend, but we had the surgical suction, so that saved us.
Nope, nope.
'Cause I
I'm good at it now because I was an assistant also, but not then.
Yeah, so you went from perio office, and then where did your journey lead you?
So I moved to Washington, D.C., and I started working for a prosthodontist who specialized in implantology. and he had brought the technique from Sweden into the United States. Had no idea. I found this office through a temp agency that I was just looking for a job in DC, and they hired me, and here this guy is like a world-class prosthodontist, and he's lecturing all over the world and working for a dental implant company. And he came to the office one day after one of his trips to, I think he went back to Sweden. He came in and he said, we really need to educate the team, like the hygienist and the office manager and everybody else, the assistant. And he said, "Is anybody interested in traveling, working for this company and traveling with me to speak?" And I was like, "Yes." So that was the beginning of my speaking career. He just took me in his coattails and off we went. So I always partnered clinical hygiene and all of my career was in implantology, so the prosthetic side of it. But no matter where I moved, I stuck with implantology and the prosthetic side of it. So it
That is
was
cool. I
just
didn't know that.
you didn't?
I don't remember knowing that. That is such a cool story.
Yeah. It was just right place, right time. It
So
was a
then
great job.
so then you were still practicing clinically alongside of him,
Yeah.
and then you were trying to do
Right.
okay.
Right. Yeah. So we
What a
were
cool
working
combination.
for what I would work, let me think about this. If we were traveling, I would work 2 or 3 days of the week, and then we'd do the travel and then come back. But normally I was on a 4-day-a-week schedule, just depending on what presentations. And we didn't have virtual then, so we flew everywhere with a cassette of slides.
The old
I'm really showing my age here.
well, that's the way it was in school. I mean, I get it,
Right.
and that's how long you've been doing it.
Yep.
How long do you say you've been doing it without say you're doing it?
Yeah, exactly. I remember when we were working in corporate that they, wanted us to go to PowerPoint, and all of us were like, I can't no, I can't give up my slides, like, what if I'm running late? I have to go flip the carousel instead of just advancing your slide, like, we were all so scared of it.
That's it's kinda how it translates to everything, that fear factor
Right.
of not knowing what's going to happen because 'cause you're so used to it.
Right.
But, I
Right.
mean, so that's wild. So you went straight in. You said, again, feet first. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll do this. You went out and you traveled, and then what happened after that? I mean, like, did you leave the practice? Did he retire? Did you decide you weren't gonna travel anymore?
No, I actually met my husband and he moved to Singapore, so we got engaged and married and I moved to Singapore. We had dated for a month and a half. He moved to Singapore. We got engaged 6 months later, and so I spent 6 years in Singapore. I worked for 2 doctors there, 2 practices. One of them was, implantology, and the other was, a general practice, but I couldn't practice. I couldn't they wouldn't acknowledge my hygiene degree, and so I did dental assisting, I did office managing, and it was a great experience because, so different working in a foreign country, and but it was a little frustrating. They were behind in technique and, um they didn't understand how advanced my skills were. And so I didn't do it for very long, but it was a really good experience. I learned how to assist with a left-handed dentist. So that was like, again,
Wow.
the best thing I could have done because I came back here to the States and I became a restorative hygienist and I had to assist during the restorative process. So I'd do the anesthetic because I lived in Seattle. I would do the anesthesia or the anesthetic. Then I would be the assistant. The doctor would come in and do the crown prep. Oh, and I had to put the rubber dam on. Gosh, that was scary. When
I
I
can't
first
even
had to start,
imagine.
it was scary. I'm really good at them now, but oh my gosh, scary stuff. So yeah, I had
That
to
is such
assist.
a crazy story. Definitely did not know
You
about this.
probably didn't.
Okay. So, okay. So then you came back and then you're a restorative hygienist and oh, I'm just like, I had no idea that all of this had happened. But what telling us, and what I'm learning is that you can't always prepare for the next step. We think that we can, especially as hygienists. We're like, so yeah, that's going to be the next thing. That's going to be the next thing. And sometimes the next best thing is that next step that you can take for yourself, that you
Yeah.
have no idea where that next stepping stone is, right?
No, I never did. I've always just said yes. If an opportunity comes up, I say yes. And it has never failed me because I just, like you said, I dive in head first and I figure it out. And so, well, the same thing with working with corporate. I moved to when I moved to Seattle, I couldn't get a hygiene license because I'd been out of practice for 7 years. So I had to go back
Mm.
and do my boards. I had to find a board patient. I had to do like the whole spiel over again. And in the time that I was studying to take my boards, I went and temped. I was working as an office manager. I'd go in and assist, and they sent me to a corporate office, and they were doing clinical research on a power toothbrush. And I went in and I was recording stats for the researchers, and they found out I was a hygienist, and they're like, "Oh, you're a hygienist and you're a speaker, and we're building a professional education program. Do you want to be part of that?" So that was my corporate job. Like, I just said yes. I thought, "Oh, I'll do this for a little while." And look at 20 years later, and unbelievable skill set, because I worked under marketing and research and, what else? Professional education, sales. So, amazing skill set that I didn't even realize I would get by taking that job.
Yeah.
So,
Just saying
and you
yes.
you got it as well, right? You just say yes.
Yeah, and sometimes it's scary. I mean, I've
Mhm.
recently said yes to some things that I'm like, okay, that scares me a little bit, and I think
Yeah,
that's good. Because I
I do
don't usually
too.
get scared, but when I'm saying yes, I'm like, I know it about myself that time and time again, I have proven to myself that I'm going to figure it out.
Exactly.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
figure it out. I may not know, but I have friends, I have resources. "Hey, Lisa, what do I do?" Just
Yeah.
like we did when we worked together. "Do you have
Right.
this? Do you know this person? Do you?" And that is the value of the network that we build by
Absolutely.
doing these little yeses, this little constellation of yeses.
Yep. Yeah, and I think
So then
I
when
I I don't mind being out of my comfort zone because I've always been athletic and I've always pushed myself to do very hard events. I ended up doing Ironmans, and those, you can't just pick up and do one, but I've always challenged myself to do things like that. So I think that helped me in saying yes and then just, jumping into it and figuring it out. Which that's part of the fun of it, right?
Yeah, you always have to be better than your mindset, and
Yep.
that next decision has to always be in the direction of what you want.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
for you, and I know, because I know that you worked your butt off to be in the Ironman. So, Lisa, when it comes to, because I know that your love is communication.
Mhm.
Your love is communication, it always has been, which when you look back at all the things that you've done, that's what you've been doing. You've been communicating with confidence, and, now you're teaching teams how to do that. Tell us how all of that
Yeah.
transpired.
So I think I started my business in 2010. I was still working clinically. I still was working for corporate, but I thought I just need to do this and have it ready because I know I'm going to need it someday because I knew I wanted my own business at some point. And it just made sense for me to branch off into communication. And initially, I started with working with dental practices and dental teams individually. And then I sort of moved to just, speaking at their annual events and when they do special events. And I, of course, do the associations and study clubs and all of that that comes with speaking as well. But I really now am working with people to help them learn how to improve their stage presence. And so working with consultants who want to use speaking as an avenue to get more clients, or working with maybe an emerging speaker, right? They want to get better at being engaging on stage, or somebody who just wants to really refine what they already have. And that gives me so much joy because I've been doing it for so long. We talked about this before we started the podcast, and I've been doing it for so long. It gives me so much joy to watch somebody write their presentation and then get up there and deliver it and just nail it, right? They just come off with this whole new level of um, presence and confidence and skill set, and then they just explode. Then they just move forward. So it's so fun for me to see that and to share my gift with other people now.
With you're doing this also with your team. You started with I mean, really, you started with communicating with patients. Then you went
Mhm.
on the road and you communicated with doctor and audience and how to connect again with patients as an educator. And then so you fell in love with the skill of teaching communication and
Yeah.
how to improve that. And now I don't know about you, but it seemed like the more I fell in love with the different parts of my career, the more I'm like, I can't just keep it here. I want to share it with other people so they
Right.
can do that for more people because it can't
Right.
just die with me. So when you're doing that, Lisa, and you're teaching the art of one, constructing a presentation because that's its own
Mhm.
art form, and then delivering it. What would you say your top 2 recommendations usually are to those folks who deliver it for the few times, or what are those words of advice that you
Mhm.
give to them?
Well, one of the biggest problems that people face is a lack of confidence. And the confidence comes from being prepared, right? And so the way that you develop your presentation is going to give you the confidence to deliver the material that you know forward and backwards, right? You know this stuff. It doesn't matter what your topic is. You know your stuff. It's a matter of developing it and creating it so that it is comfortable for you, but also keeps your audience engaged, right? Because we have very, very short attention spans now. And so you have to write it in a way that keeps the audience engaged. And so I always tell people, the first thing we do is start with your call to action. What do you want your audience to walk away and do by coming and listening to you today? And once you have that, then you kind of build backwards. And the last thing that you write, which is the first thing most people want to write, is your introduction and your extroduction, your ending. And so your introduction is the second most important aspect of your presentation. Your conclusion is your most important part of your presentation because it's what people are going to remember, and you want it to be an emotional connection that they're going to
Yeah.
walk away and they're going to want to do that call to action. So it's all about structure of the presentation before you think about the presence of being on stage.
Yeah, and the delivery of what
Mhm.
you feel like you wanna tell the audience because
Right.
it's always about your audience. And about how you're
Right.
connecting with your audience to get that delivery across. I kind of equate it to the patient in the chair. Until you connect with your patient, they're not going to
Mhm.
listen to what you're gonna say. Unless there's
Exactly.
a connection there. So you gotta connect with that intro, make it meaningful for them, so then they go, "Okay, what's this person all about? What are they doing?"
Right, exactly. And most people put way too much content.
Ugh,
I'm a big advocate of the oh gosh, Guy Kowalski has a 10-20-30 rule, 10 slides every 20 minutes and no less than 30 font. And 30 font really kills people because they want to put everything on the slide so they can read it. Right? And so it's a
30
great
font.
rule, 30
I love
font,
that rule.
10, 20,
Yeah, because
30.
if you do that, I mean, you are just like you can't put much on there.
Mm-mm.
Like back to your point, Lisa, with the preparation piece, depending on how you're structuring it and you're being intentional about like statistics and creative things to trigger both parts of the
Mhm.
brain and activities and all of those things that are part of the creative and very intentional process of putting together a presentation. Once you do that, and there are certain images that trigger that story that you just flow
Exactly.
seamlessly into because you're ready for it. And
Right.
that's what she's talking about. It's that preparation to say, okay, now it's time for a story. Now it's time for a statistic. Now it's time for this creative piece about drawing the audience into that to get them to move, to get them to remember
Right.
something. All of it's an art.
Yes. And the beautiful thing is once you use the template, right? It's just like a scheduling template. Once you start using it, your schedule will flow so much easier, right? You just put the
Mhm.
people in the right places. It's really hard for people to do sometimes, right? But
Yeah.
once you learn the speaking template, how to structure your presentation, whether your presentation is 1 hour, 2 hours, or 6 hours, you take that template and you use it over and over and over again in that structure. So once you learn the basics, it's just like learning how to ride a bike, or it's like learning how to do a particular exercise, right? Once you learn the basics, that's your foundation, and you use that to move to the next and the next and the next. But you're always going to have that confidence of knowing how to use the template.
Yeah, you take the template, you practice it, you get comfortable in your own skin. And Lisa, I know we were talking about before we got on that, you and I love creating
Yep.
programs. We love teaching what we know so other
Hmm.
people can do it. And so once you have that, you can create the next thing because to your point, people try to create everything and put everything in one thing, but what are the top 3 things you want to get across in an hour? And
Exactly.
put yeah, because you can't teach them everything, and kinda that's a gift because then you want to lead them to you for more
Hmm.
information.
Right.
So
And
what's
that's
the call to
really most
action?
people's objective, right? That's your call to action.
Mhm.
If you'd like to learn more, download this file or scan this QR code and set up an appointment with me. Like that's the call to action. And you're to your point, 3 things, 3 topics in an hour. And really if you're asked to do an hour presentation, you're only creating content for 45 minutes, because inevitably the speaker before you is going to run late, or something happens, you start late, more questions than you anticipated. Like there's all kinds of things that you need that wiggle room for. And then the other thing is don't ever finish on a Q&A, right? You want to put your call to action, then answer questions, and then finish with your extroduction or your conclusion, because it takes the energy. If you're way up here with energy in your presentation, and then you say, "Does anybody have any questions?" and you get dead silence. So the energy just goes womp, all the
Yeah,
way
or ever
down.
and yeah, or there's 25,000 questions and people are like, "What
Right.
are they saying? What are they saying?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
so you
that's
have to learn how to
definitely
control
advice.
that. So, yeah. I mean, I literally will say we have time for 2 or 3 questions, and then we'll circle back around and finish up. So they know that the Q&A isn't the end, and they know something else is still coming, but they know we're limiting how many questions we can take as well. And that usually works out pretty well.
Yeah, because there's an expect you've managed the audience. You've controlled
Mhm.
your audience.
Mhm.
Control. Yeah, and manage
Controlled.
expectations. So people know that there's not gonna be, like, one person dominating the conversation too, because we all have been in that class, or even when you were in school where there was that person who always asked a question, you're like, "Shush. It's time for
Yes.
us to go." And they're just
Mhm.
winded. Well,
But it
that's
gives
great.
you an
So
out, right?
it does. Yeah, it does. And then, so Lisa, you have workshops coming up. Tell us about how people can work with you and where they can see you speak and teach.
Yeah, thanks for asking. I have a workshop for speakers, and it's at the Vivos Institute in Colorado, which is, I hear it's an amazing place. It's just fantastic to have an event at. So it's in June 26th, 27th. So it's a day and a half, and you will start and finish a complete presentation. We'll also have an opportunity for you to do your introductions and your conclusions, so that you get on the spot coaching. But it's a day and a half of really building your presentation. You'll learn about how to use the template, and then we'll literally create your presentation during the workshop. So the only thing that won't be done, I don't want to give people the wrong impression, is the graphics, right? Because you don't have time to do that plus build, the PowerPoint, right? You'll have to do your notes pages and your graphics afterwards, but that it will be enough for somebody that's starting a presentation or wants to revise maybe a presentation, because either of those would work. The other one that I think is a really good opportunity is if you're a dental practice and you want to increase your referrals.
Yeah.
come with your office manager. So the dentist and the office manager come together and create a marketing presentation that you can deliver on a monthly basis, like set up a lunch and learn with either potential clients or existing clients in your area, and market yourself so that you stay top of mind with the people that you want referring to you. And I've worked with other doctors that have done that, and it's huge to get them new patients and also consistent referrals because they're doing something different, right? You've got to stop approaching it like everybody else.
That's true. You can't be chosen if you're not seen.
Right, exactly. That's a
Yeah.
great way to say it.
Well, that's amazing. So, how do people find your speaker workshop that you're doing in June?
So it's on my social media. You can find it there. I have it on where else is it? You can go to the Vivos Institute and look at the site. You can also just contact me directly
Yeah.
and I can send you information. Um, my email is lisa@communicatewithinfluence.org and happy to share that information with you. And I have a discount code. If you use Lisa 200, it'll give you $200 off.
Nice.
I always love that.
Yeah, gotta love a savings, but she is a wealth of information. She's taught me so much when we were working together. And Lisa, people are just, I mean, you're such a gift. You really are such a
Oh,
gift.
thank you.
You are. And you're showing people what you've done for years, and you're sharing all of the experiences that you have. And that's something that you can't get from AI. You can't get from just doing it once. This is the expertise that you bring is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm so proud of
Well,
you.
and likewise, I mean, we kinda went the same direction, and it's your experience. You cannot replace the experience that you can share with people to help them understand how to improve and get where they wanna go a lot faster.
That's right. And that's what it's about. Because I think everybody, a lot of folks now in today's society is like, why can't I just do it already? Why can't I? And when you
Yeah,
work with
yeah,
consultants, with coaches, you can get there faster because you get the culmination of all of their experiences that can get you
right.
there faster. So if you want more Lisa, and I know you do, reach out to Lisa. Her information is in the show notes. Thank you so much for being on today.
Oh, so it was such a pleasure, Kelly. It was so nice to reconnect and kind of reminisce about our careers and how wonderful it's been for us in the dental hygiene aspect as well as, beyond.
That's right. Whatever you want, it's yours to reach.
That's
It
right.
really is. You
That's
just got to
right.
say yes and get out of the way. Take the next step.
Yeah,
So
get
you
out
guys
of your own way.
get out of your own way. So you guys can reach out to Lisa again in the show notes. And you know that I always ask the favor. If you're watching this on Apple Podcasts, please go onto Apple and rate the dental handoff with a 5-star rating because Apple Podcasts is the one that matters. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe. Go ahead and press the bell button and follow us so you are notified every time a new episode drops. Thank you to each of you for all that you're doing every single day to touch the lives that you do. And we will see you again next week. Thanks again, Lisa.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.